All right, so this is instructional video number 3. This is the extension. Bear with me, there's a lot to go through here, so I just want to make sure that you know how to do the extension. It can be a little bit complicated, but we're going to take it step by step. We're going to use and build off of what we learned in the last 2 videos. Okay, first of all, here's what we already know. We know that when we look at a chemical formula, so here's one chemical formula right there. We know that if there's a number before the chemical formula, we know we have maybe let's say there's a 2 in front of that CCl4, we know that we need to make 2 molecules. So that number before the formula tells us how many of those molecules we need to make. Since there's no number right now, that means we only need to make one of those molecules. That's one type of molecule, and we only need to make one of them. The second thing is we know that the little number, the little subscript number after each of the element symbols, so this is carbon, there's no number after it, so we're just going to use one carbon atom. But chlorine, Cl, there are 4 atoms to that molecule. We know that because of this little subscript 4. Our hydrogen gas, we are going to make 2 of those molecules, and each molecule is going to have 2 hydrogen atoms. Okay? All right, so let's get to the right page. We are on multiple. We're going to click on playground. First thing I want you to notice is that you can scroll through and you'll have different bowls of atoms. Okay? All right, so let's get started. The second row, we want to type out the number and kind of elements in each molecule. So remember, we're only looking at per molecule. And in this case, we only have one molecule of CCl4, okay? So we only have one carbon for that molecule. So I'm going to type 1 carbon, okay? We know that we only have per molecule we have 4 chlorine atoms. So I'm going to add 4 chlorines. Okay, that's for that one particular molecule. So let's now look at our H2s, our hydrogen gas. In one molecule, we have 2 H's, okay? 2 hydrogens in that one molecule. Okay, but we're going to use and make 2 of those molecules. So now let's talk about the number of types of molecules. When I look at up here, that's one type, CCl4. That's another type, H2. So we have 2 types of molecules. But the total number of molecules, well, we have 1 CCl4, so that's 1 molecule. And we have 2 hydrogen gases, or 2 H2s. So we're going to make 2 of those. So what's 1 plus 2? 1, 2, 3. We're going to have 3 total numbers of molecules built up here in this blue space. Okay? Okay, so let's start building. All right, and then we can fill out the total number and kind of elements needed. We could do that now, or we could do that afterwards. I'm going to start building, and then we can count our atoms and our elements, and we can fill that out. Okay, so I'm going to start with making a CCl4. So C is for carbon, and 4 is for the chlorine. We need 4 chlorine atoms. But I'm looking down here, and I only see 2 chlorines. So I'm going to scroll through. There's 4 of them right there. So I'm going to pull this carbon up, and I'm going to attach 4 chlorines to it. And it'll tell me what I've built. I've built carbon tetrachloride. If you want to look that up, you can look that up to see what chemical that is. Carbon tetrachloride. Okay? All right, now I need to make 2 H2s. Well, there's an H2 right there. How many do I need? 2. So we have 2 H2s. Okay, so now I'm going to count. I have 2 types of molecules. 1, 2 types. What's my total number of molecules I've built? I've built 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's good. So now let's talk about the total number and kind of elements. Okay, 1 carbon. All right, then we used 4 chlorines. And then I used 1, 2, 3, 4 hydrogens. Okay, so I'm just counting up my atoms and making sure that I have used what I needed to use. Okay, and when I look at my formula, does that match? Well, 1 carbon, 4 chlorines, 2 times 2 for the hydrogen is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have used 4. Now I'm going to screenshot it. Okay, and copy it, place it here. Okay, so I have either an element or I have, in this picture, a compound, or do I have a mixture? Well, our hydrogen and carbon tetrachloride are physically put together, not chemically combined, so we have a mixture. So I'm going to highlight mixture. Okay, and in my mixture, did I make a compound and an element? Did I satisfy what it says down here? Carbon tetrachloride is a compound because we have more than one type of atom. Our H2, it's a molecule, but it's an element because there's only one type in the molecule. So yeah, I made a compound and an element. All right, so the next one, I am going to look at, I don't have a chemical formula to follow. So I've got to look at, okay, what can I make that has 3 types of molecules and the total number of molecules is 3 as well. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go back. I think I'm going to use this one right here. So I need 3 types of molecules. And it needs to be 3 compounds when I look down here. Compounds, more than one type of atom. I know, an easy one. Let's do water. Okay, so that's a compound, and that's one type of compound, right? All right, what's another compound I can make with these? Let's see. I think I'm going to try carbon monoxide. That's a compound. I just made another compound. It told me I've made something. It's more than one type of atom. That works. Okay, now I need to make a 3rd type of molecule. And I only need one of them because I'm making only 3 molecules. Well, I know carbon monoxide. That kind of reminds me of carbon dioxide. Now, did I follow all the rules? I've made 3 types of molecules. I've made 3 molecules total. Are they all compounds? Well, they are. That's a compound, that's a compound, that's a compound. That works, okay? So I can now fill out the top. So I've made H2O, I've made carbon monoxide, and I've made carbon dioxide, okay? So I got to make my little subscripts. I'm going to go to Format, Text, Subscript. Format, Text, Subscript. I want to get out of it. So, okay. All right. Number and kind of elements in each molecule. Well, my little subscript tells me I have 2 hydrogens. And I've used 1 oxygen in that molecule. So that's the first one. 1 carbon. And I've used 1 oxygen in my carbon monoxide. And in my carbon dioxide, 1 carbon and 2 oxygen atoms. Oops. Okay. Now, my total number and kind of elements needed. So let's kind of count them up. Let's start with the hydrogen. 2 hydrogens, because I don't see hydrogen anywhere else. So 2 hydrogens. I have used how many oxygens? 1, 2, 3, 4 oxygens. I have used 2 carbons, right? 1, 2. Now look at that. Yep. 1 carbon there, 1 carbon there. I count them. I have 2 carbons. I'm going to screenshot it. Okay, now do I have an element, do I have a compound, or do I have a mixture? Well, these are not chemically combined, neither are these. So our molecules are not chemically combined to other molecules. So that makes it a mixture. Okay, so that's an example. If you want to try doing a different type of molecule, different types of molecules, you can play around with this. You just have to follow the rules. What it tells you, how many types of molecules do you have, how many total numbers of molecules do you need to have, and you have to have 3 compounds. Okay? So you can play around with it. You don't have to do the examples I did. All right? So then you have another shot here. If you do mine, if you use my example, that's fine. You have another column here that you can kind of do your own. And then finally, the last column is going to be much like what you did in the first column. And you're going to scroll through to find. Okay? Oops, yeah. So you're going to scroll through and you can find your fluorines and your hydrogen and your chlorines to use for the last one. Okay? All right. Make sure you highlight if it's an element, compound, or mixture, and then summing it up. So in the videos, I talked about what the little numbers mean, the subscripts. What do the big numbers in front mean? They're called coefficients. And then how do you know which element the little number subscript goes with? In other words, how do I know where that 4 belongs? Is it to the chlorine or is it to the carbon? How about the little 2 for H2O? Does the little 2 tell me how many hydrogens I have or how many oxygens I have? Okay, and then letter D, 2CH4 and C2H8 have the same number and kind of elements, but how are they different? So that's kind of a challenging question. Go ahead and try it, and good luck.